Well, Arya Ben Nasik again here to give you another biblical burst for our Hero Israel program. We hope that you are enjoying them if you have an opportunity to view them. If you'd like to give us a call, you might do so at 704-553-7625. You can visit our website at www.nccisharlotte.com. Biblical Burst is designed just to give you a synoptic overview of some of the major quadlibets theological arguments that exist in the religious community: Christianity, Judaic, Hebraic, Israelite, etc., Sinaitic. And if you'd like to have a more exhaustive study, just feel free to give us a call. We're going to be bursting the New Testament. We only have about 8, 9, 10 minutes on the block here, so let's just get right to the crux. We're going to go over to the book of Leviticus, and I'm going to look at Leviticus chapter 6. What is the New Testament? Aria, I have no clue what the New Testament is. I'm a Christian. I can't tell you the difference between a New Testament and a monkey. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to speak to that here in a second, where you can be able to articulate a small piece of it. Leviticus chapter 6 and verse 6 reads, "And he shall bring his trespass offering." This is a person who has committed a trespass, a sin. This is a person who has broken the law of the Most High. Now, notice how propitiation or atonement and redemption is performed. Very important. Notice how atonement and redemption is performed. Reconciliation, to bring a person who has broken Elohim's law, God's law, Yah's law, back to the Most High in a good relationship. In Leviticus chapter 6, verse 6, it says, "And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yah." So the very first thing that you have to have is a trespass offering in order to be reconciled back to the Most High. A ram without blemish out of the flock of your estimation for a trespass offering unto the priest. So now we have to have a priest. Write this down: a ram and a priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him. So it's a priest that goes through the process of making an atonement for you. Okay? It says here, before Yah. So we have priest, we have ram, we now have atonement, right? That is going to reconcile you before the Most High, right? And it shall be forgiven him, that's atonement, for anything of all that he has done in trespassing therein, right? Boom. This gives us the foundation and the baseline for the so-called New Testament, because we're reading this out of the Old Testament. Let's now take our attention over to the book of Matthew, and we're going to pick it up in Matthew chapter 26. Just bear with me here. Again, this is our burst. If you'd like to have the exhaustive discussion, feel free to give us contact or call. Contact us at 704-553-7625. Notice what the Messiah says in Matthew chapter 26 at the so-called Last Supper. Verse 25 says, "Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, You have said. And as they were eating, Yeshua took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink, you all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the forgiveness of sins." And so as we read the book of Leviticus chapter 6, we see that blood was shed, which was a ram's blood, for the forgiveness of sins. And it was expiated by the hands of a priest, or atoned in the hands of a priest. Okay? Now, let's go over to Hebrews chapter 7. Let's go over to Hebrews chapter 7. And let's see what Yeshua is doing. Hebrews chapter 7, I'm going to pick it up at 24 through 25. This is what Paul says about the Messiah. "But this man, because he continues ever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Wherefore he is able also to save them." Woo! Yeshua is able to save. Look at this. To save them to the uttermost that come unto Elohim. Now remember, we read over in Leviticus chapter 6, where a man who had committed a crime, a theocratic crime, went to the priest for salvation, if you will, right? Well, Ariel, what do you mean for salvation? Only Elohim grants salvation. You're absolutely right. But what he did was he went to the priest, so the priest would execute the process that would lead into salvation, reconciliation, and redemption unto the Most High. So this is what Yeshua is doing as well. Wherefore Yeshua is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto Elohim by him, seeing he ever lives to make intercession for them. Watch this. We're going to pick it up at now 8 and 6. But now, talking about Yeshua, now has he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant. Better covenant, which covenant? We only have the old covenant and the new covenant. Better covenant, which was established upon better promises, right? Here we go. Verse 13. In that he says, a new covenant, he has made the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. I'm going to go over here to chapter 9, and I'm going to read verse 11 through 15. But the anointed, being come a high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. In Leviticus chapter 6, we saw this process involving the priest and the ram. And the priest propitiated on your behalf by sacrificing the lamb. And so here Yeshua is the lamb. He's also the priest. It says here in verse 13, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifies to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of the anointed, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to Elohim, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim. Verse 15, and for this reason he is a mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal life. Here we go. I'm going to pick it up at Hebrews chapter 10, and I will pick it up at verse 9. Okay? I only have 1 minute. Then said he, lo, I come to do your will, O Yah. He takes away the first testament, it's the Old Testament, that he may establish the second. Second is the New Testament, inaugurated in the blood of Yeshua the Anointed, right? By the which will we are sanctified, separated through the offering of the body of the anointed Yeshua once for all. That ends our biblical burst, New Testament. Again, it's just a small synoptic overview. Give us a call, 704-553-7625, if you'd like to have the exhaustive discussion. May Yah bless you. Shalom.